Have you ever wondered why some days you feel completely unmotivated, even when it seems like you're doing everything right? Maybe you're staying busy, tackling tasks and chasing your goals, yet there's this nagging feeling that something is holding you back. It's frustrating, isn't it? Like your drive is slipping away and you can't quite put your finger on why. What if the culprit isn't something obvious? What if it's hiding in the small, everyday habits you barely notice? Motivation is one of those things we all crave, but it's often misunderstood. It's not just about sheer willpower or pushing yourself harder. It's about understanding what silently chips away at your focus and drive. And here's the surprising part. Some of the habits that are quietly destroying your motivation feel so normal, so routine, that they go unnoticed until it's too late. That's why today we're going to talk about 10 surprising habits destroying your motivation without you knowing. These aren't the usual suspects like skipping breakfast or forgetting to exercise, although those matter too. These are habits rooted in deeper patterns of thought and behavior, the kind that creep into your life and slowly erode your sense of purpose and direction. This is where Stoicism can offer some powerful insights. Stoicism isn't just an ancient philosophy, it's a toolkit for modern living. It shows us how to focus on what we can control, let go of what we can't, and build a mindset that thrives even in the face of challenges. By applying Stoic principles, you'll learn how to recognize these destructive habits, tackle them head-on, and replace them with healthier, more productive behaviors. In this video, we're not just pointing out the problem, we're focusing on solutions. With each habit, we'll explore why it's so harmful, how Stoicism can help you approach it differently, and actionable steps you can take to rebuild your motivation from the ground up. By the end, you'll feel more in control, more focused, and ready to take meaningful action toward your goals. Before we jump in, I want to ask a small favor. If you're passionate about learning how to unlock your full potential and use Stoic wisdom to live a more focused and purposeful life, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's a simple way to support this community and make sure you never miss out on future insights that can truly transform your life. And while you're here, let me know in the comments, what's been the biggest obstacle to staying motivated for you? I'd love to hear your story and connect with you. Let's not waste any more time wondering what's holding you back. It's time to uncover these surprising habits and take back control of your motivation. Let's get started. Habit number 1, procrastination, disguised as productivity. Have you ever felt busy all day, tackling task after task, but by the end of it, you stop and think, what did I actually accomplish? It's frustrating, isn't it? That feeling of being productive on the surface, but knowing deep down you haven't moved the needle on what truly matters. This is what I call procrastination disguised as productivity. It's one of the sneakiest habits because it feels like you're doing something worthwhile, yet it slowly erodes your motivation and keeps you from your real goals. This habit thrives when we prioritize small, low-value tasks over the bigger, more meaningful ones. It's like rearranging the furniture on a sinking ship. It keeps you busy, but does nothing to address the root of the problem. It gives you a false sense of accomplishment, while the important work remains untouched, quietly piling up in the background. Over time, this leads to burnout, frustration, and that sinking feeling of not making progress. Now, let's consider how the Stoics would view this. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us to ask ourselves, is this essential? This simple question cuts through the noise and forces us to focus only on what truly matters. Stoicism teaches us that our time and energy are finite, and wasting them on trivialities is a form of self-sabotage. The more we fill our days with tasks that don't align with our values or long-term goals, the more we drift away from a purposeful life. One of the reasons we fall into this trap is because meaningful work often feels overwhelming or uncomfortable. It's easier to answer a few emails, organize your workspace, or tweak a presentation for the 10th time than it is to tackle a challenging project that requires deep focus and effort. But here's the thing. Avoiding discomfort in the short term only makes the long-term discomfort worse. Epictetus famously said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In other words, clarity of purpose must come first, followed by deliberate action. So, how do we break free from this habit? The first step is to get crystal clear about your priorities. Take a moment to reflect on what truly matters in your life and work. What are the goals that, if achieved, would bring you the most fulfillment? Write them down. Once you've done that, compare these goals to your daily activities. Are your actions aligned with your priorities? If not, it's time to make some changes. A practical way to stay on track is to create a priority list each morning. This isn't the same as a to-do list packed with every task under the sun. Instead, focus on identifying the top 3 most important things you need to accomplish that day. These should be the tasks that contribute directly to your long-term goals. Keep this list visible throughout the day and refer back to it whenever you feel tempted to veer off course. Another helpful technique is time blocking. Dedicate specific chunks of time to work on your most important tasks, free from distractions. During these blocks, silence your phone, close unnecessary tabs, and focus entirely on the task at hand. Treat this time as sacred, because it is. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to reflect. Ask yourself, did I spend my time wisely? Did my actions today align with what truly matters? This practice, inspired by the Stoics' emphasis on daily reflection, helps you stay accountable and ensures you're constantly moving in the right direction. It's also worth addressing the fear that often underlies this habit. Sometimes we avoid meaningful work because we're afraid of failure, criticism, or even success. Recognizing this fear is the first step to overcoming it. Remind yourself that progress, not perfection, is the goal. Every small step forward is a victory. Now think about your own day. How often do you find yourself caught up in tasks that feel urgent but aren't actually important? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. It's something we all struggle with at times. The key is to recognize it, question it, and take deliberate steps to shift your focus toward what truly matters. When you do, you'll not only regain your motivation, but also experience a deeper sense of purpose and accomplishment. Habit number 2, focusing on external validation. Have you ever caught yourself putting in extra effort, not because it aligns with your goals, but because you wanted someone else to notice or approve of what you're doing? Maybe it's tweaking that presentation for hours, waiting for a colleague to compliment your work, or posting on social media, hoping for likes and comments. It feels good in the moment, doesn't it? But have you ever stopped to wonder why that external approval matters so much? And more importantly, how it's quietly draining your motivation? Focusing on external validation is one of those habits that can creep into our lives without us even realizing it. It shifts our energy away from what truly fulfills us and redirects it toward pleasing others or living up to their expectations. Over time, this becomes exhausting because no amount of external approval can ever fully satisfy you. When your motivation is tied to the opinions of others, you're giving them power over your happiness, your confidence, and ultimately your sense of purpose. Stoicism offers a refreshing perspective on this. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This teaching invites us to take a step back and question why we value external opinions so much. Why do we allow others to dictate our worth? Stoicism reminds us that true contentment comes from within. It's about aligning your actions with your values and doing what's right, not what's popular. The problem with seeking external validation is that it's a moving target. What pleases one person might disappoint another. Chasing approval keeps you constantly adjusting, trying to meet expectations that are always shifting. This instability chips away at your confidence and leaves you feeling lost, disconnected from your authentic self. Instead of focusing on what others think, the Stoics teach us to focus on what we think of ourselves. Are we living in a way that aligns with our own principles? Are we doing what's meaningful to us? So, how do we let go of this habit? The first step is to build self-awareness. Start by reflecting on your actions and motivations. When you're about to make a decision, ask yourself, am I doing this because it's important to me or because I want someone else to notice? Journaling can be a powerful tool here. At the end of each day, write down moments when you felt you were seeking approval and explore why. Over time, this practice helps you identify patterns and triggers. Next, practice detachment from outcomes. Epictetus advised, don't hope that events will turn out the way you want, but welcome events in whichever way they happen. This doesn't mean you stop striving for excellence. It means you focus on doing your best for its own sake, not for applause. When you put in effort for reasons that align with your values, the outcome becomes less about validation and more about personal growth. Another powerful strategy is to cultivate gratitude for intrinsic rewards. For example, instead of waiting for someone to praise your work, take a moment to appreciate the effort you put into it. Recognize how much you've grown or learned in the process. Gratitude shifts your focus inward, reminding you that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's opinion. It's also helpful to set boundaries, especially in situations where you feel the pressure to perform for others. If social media is a trigger for seeking validation, consider limiting your time online or posting less frequently. If a specific person's opinion weighs heavily on you, remind yourself that their perspective is just one among many. It doesn't define who you are. Now, I'd like you to think about this. How often do you find yourself seeking approval instead of trusting your own instincts? Imagine how much lighter and freer you'd feel if you could let go of that need for validation. You'd be able to focus on what truly matters to you without constantly looking over your shoulder for applause. The next time you find yourself tempted to chase external approval, pause and remind yourself of this. You're not here to live someone else's version of a successful life. Your journey is your own. By shifting your focus inward and aligning your actions with your values, you'll find a deeper, more sustainable motivation that no one can take away from you. Habit number 3, overloading your mind with negativity. Have you ever noticed how heavy your mind feels after spending hours scrolling through negative news or toxic social media posts? It's as if the weight of the world has been dropped onto your shoulders, even if none of it directly affects your life. This habit of overloading your mind with negativity is one of the fastest ways to drain your motivation and leave you feeling paralyzed. When your mental space is consumed by constant negativity, it's almost impossible to find the energy or focus to pursue your goals. Negativity is like a toxin for your mind. The more you absorb, the more it colors the way you see the world, the people around you, and even yourself. It's no surprise that when your thoughts are dominated by what's wrong, whether it's global events, personal struggles, or the endless comparison trap on social media, you begin to feel stuck. You might even start to believe that your efforts won't make a difference, which is the quickest way to lose motivation. The Stoics had a profound understanding of how our thoughts shape our reality. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This principle reminds us that while we can't control the negativity in the world, we can control how much space we give it in our minds. Dwelling on things we can't change only amplifies their hold over us. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to protect our inner peace by focusing on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. One of the reasons negativity takes such a strong grip on us is because it's so easy to access. Think about it. The news cycle is designed to grab your attention with fear and outrage, and social media algorithms feed you content that keeps you scrolling, even if it leaves you feeling worse. This constant exposure reinforces a pessimistic mindset, making it harder to see opportunities or solutions. Over time, it becomes a vicious cycle where negativity feeds more negativity. So how do you break free from this habit? The first step is to become more intentional about what you allow into your mental space. Just as you wouldn't fill your body with junk food all day, you need to be mindful of what you're feeding your mind. Limit your consumption of news and social media, especially content that stirs up anger, fear, or hopelessness. Set boundaries for how often you check your phone and curate your feeds to prioritize positive, uplifting, or educational content. Another powerful Stoic practice is reframing. When faced with something negative, challenge yourself to look at it through a different lens. For instance, instead of dwelling on a mistake you made, view it as a learning opportunity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. By shifting your perspective, you take back control and reduce the grip negativity has on you. Gratitude is another antidote to negativity. Start a simple practice of reflecting on 3 things you're grateful for each day. They don't have to be grand or life-changing. It could be as small as a kind gesture from a friend or a moment of peace during your morning coffee. Gratitude rewires your brain to notice the good, even when it feels overshadowed by the bad. Daily reflection can also help you reset your focus. At the end of each day, ask yourself, did I spend too much time dwelling on negativity? Did it serve me or distract me from what truly matters? Use this practice not to criticize yourself, but to recalibrate and set a more positive intention for the next day. It's also helpful to cultivate moments of quiet. The Stoics often practice silence as a way to tune out the noise of the world and reconnect with their inner thoughts. Take a few minutes each day to sit in silence, away from screens, notifications, and distractions. Use this time to reflect on what's truly important to you and let go of the mental clutter. Now think about your daily routine. How often do you let negativity take center stage in your thoughts? How much energy do you give to things that you can't change? By consciously choosing to filter out the noise and focus on what uplifts and empowers you, you create the mental space needed for motivation and clarity. The world might always have its share of negativity, but you don't have to let it control your mind. The choice is yours. Habit number 4, perfectionism leading to paralysis. Have you ever stared at a task or project, wanting it to be absolutely perfect before you even begin? Maybe it's that report you've been meaning to write, a new fitness routine you've been planning to start, or even a simple email you're hesitant to send because it doesn't feel just right. You tell yourself you're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect inspiration, or the perfect conditions. But deep down, you know what's really happening. You're stuck. Perfectionism, while it might seem like a virtue, often leads to paralysis. Instead of moving forward, you remain frozen, overwhelmed by the impossible standard you've set for yourself. This habit is insidious because it disguises itself as high standards or dedication. You might think, I just want to do my best, but perfectionism isn't about doing your best. It's about fearing failure, criticism, or even success. The weight of trying to get everything exactly right becomes so heavy that it stops you from taking any action at all. Over time, this not only drains your motivation, but also erodes your confidence. You start believing that if you can't do something perfectly, it's not worth doing at all. Stoicism provides a powerful antidote to this mindset. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." In the context of perfectionism, this means letting go of the unrealistic expectation that everything must be flawless. The Stoics remind us that our focus should be on effort and intention, not on outcomes that are often beyond our control. Striving for excellence is one thing, but demanding perfection is a surefire way to undermine your progress. One of the reasons perfectionism is so paralyzing is that it amplifies fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of falling short. These fears keep you in a state of inaction, convincing you that it's safer to do nothing than to risk making a mistake. But here's the truth. Mistakes are part of the process. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Notice he doesn't demand perfection. He simply encourages us to act with integrity and mindfulness. This mindset frees us from the crushing weight of perfectionism and shifts our focus to what we can control, our effort and our values. So how do we overcome this habit? The first step is to challenge the narrative of perfectionism. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if this isn't perfect? Will one small mistake really undo all your efforts? Most of the time, the answer is no. By questioning these irrational fears, you begin to see that imperfection isn't catastrophic. It's normal. Another helpful strategy is to set smaller, more achievable goals. Instead of aiming to complete an entire project perfectly, break it down into manageable steps. Focus on finishing the first draft, the first workout, or the first attempt, knowing you can refine and improve as you go. This approach aligns with the Stoic principle of focusing on the present moment. As Epictetus advised, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Concentrate on what you can do right now rather than worrying about an idealized end result. Reflection is another valuable tool. At the end of the day, instead of fixating on what you didn't do perfectly, take a moment to appreciate what you did accomplish. Write down one or two things you're proud of, no matter how small they may seem. This practice helps shift your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful. It's also important to embrace the idea of progress over perfection. Remind yourself that every imperfect step forward is still a step forward. When you stop letting perfectionism dictate your actions, you open the door to learning, growth, and unexpected opportunities. Think about it. Some of the greatest achievements in history were the result of trial and error, not flawless execution on the first try. Now I want you to pause for a moment and think about something you've been putting off because it doesn't feel perfect yet. What would happen if you allowed yourself to start, even if it's messy or imperfect? Imagine the sense of relief and momentum you'd feel by simply taking that first step. Perfectionism doesn't have to control you. By embracing the Stoic wisdom of focusing on effort over outcome, and by taking small, meaningful actions, you can break free from the paralysis it creates. Remember, the goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be present, intentional, and willing to grow. That's where true progress begins. Habit number 5, comparing yourself to others. Have you ever found yourself scrolling through social media, looking at someone else's highlight reel and thinking, why don't I have what they have? Maybe it's a career milestone, a seemingly perfect relationship, or an exotic vacation. It's so easy to fall into this trap of comparison, isn't it? What starts as harmless browsing can leave you feeling inadequate, like no matter how hard you try, you'll never measure up. This habit of constantly comparing yourself to others doesn't just steal your joy, it destroys your motivation. When we compare ourselves to others, we're playing a game we can't win. Why? Because we're comparing our behind-the-scenes struggles to someone else's curated successes. It's not a fair comparison, yet it feels real. And the more we focus on others, the less energy we have to invest in ourselves. Over time, this habit drains our confidence, distorts our goals, and leaves us chasing someone else's idea of success rather than our own. The Stoics understood this tendency well and offered wisdom that remains deeply relevant today. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In the context of comparison, this means that the actions or achievements of others are outside our control, but how we respond to them is entirely within our power. Instead of letting comparison fuel feelings of inadequacy, we can choose to use it as a mirror, reflecting what we truly value and aspire to achieve. Marcus Aurelius also wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This teaching reminds us to shift our focus inward. What others are doing is irrelevant to our personal journey. What truly matters is whether we are living in alignment with our own principles, values, and goals. The moment we redirect our energy from others to ourselves, we take back control. So how do we break free from the comparison trap? The first step is to recognize when you're doing it. Pay attention to those moments when you start to feel inadequate after seeing someone else's success. Ask yourself, is this helping me, or is it holding me back? Awareness is key because it allows you to pause and change course before those feelings take root. Next, practice gratitude for where you are right now. Instead of focusing on what you lack, take a moment to appreciate what you've already achieved. Gratitude shifts your perspective and reminds you that your journey is unique. Write down 3 things you're proud of or grateful for each day. It's a small habit that can make a big difference in how you view yourself and your progress. It's also important to set boundaries, especially when it comes to social media. If you find that certain accounts or platforms trigger feelings of inadequacy, consider unfollowing or limiting your time there. Remember, you control what you consume. Curate your environment to inspire and uplift you rather than drag you down. Another powerful strategy is to focus on your own growth. Reflect on how far you've come rather than how far someone else has gone. Journaling can be a great tool for this. Write about the progress you've made, the challenges you've overcome, and the lessons you've learned. This practice helps you see your life as a journey of personal growth rather than a competition. Lastly, remind yourself that no one has a perfect life, not even the people who seem to have it all together. Everyone has struggles, doubts, and challenges that aren't visible on the surface. Instead of envying their success, celebrate it while staying focused on your own path. As Seneca said, "A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not." Contentment comes not from comparing, but from accepting and appreciating your unique journey. Think about this. How much time and energy are you spending worrying about someone else's life? What could you accomplish if you redirected that energy toward your own goals? The next time you catch yourself falling into the comparison trap, pause and remind yourself that your journey is yours alone. You don't need to match someone else's pace or follow their path. All you need to do is take one step forward on your own path, in your own way. By embracing Stoic principles and shifting your focus inward, you'll find a renewed sense of motivation and purpose. Let others' successes inspire you, not intimidate you. Your worth isn't determined by how you measure up to others. It's defined by how you live your life in alignment with your own values. Habit number 6, letting emotions control your actions. Have you ever had a moment where your emotions got the best of you? Maybe it was an argument that spiraled out of control, or a decision made in the heat of the moment that you later regretted. It's something we've all experienced. Acting on emotions might feel justified at the time, but too often it leads to choices that sabotage our motivation and derail our progress. When emotions control your actions, you're no longer steering the ship. Instead, you're at the mercy of fleeting feelings, anger, frustration, fear, or even excitement, pulling you in directions that don't align with your long-term goals. You might lash out in anger, avoid an opportunity out of fear, or overcommit because you were caught up in the moment. Over time, these emotional reactions create chaos, leaving you feeling stuck and unmotivated. The Stoics understood the danger of letting emotions dictate behavior. Epictetus said, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgment about them." In other words, the situations we face don't have inherent power over us. It's our emotional reactions to them that cause turmoil. Stoicism teaches us to pause and assess before acting, to ensure our decisions are guided by reason and purpose rather than emotional impulses. When emotions take the lead, they cloud judgment and distort reality. Anger can make a minor inconvenience feel like a personal attack. Fear can exaggerate risks and hold you back from pursuing opportunities. Even happiness, if unchecked, can lead to overconfidence or impulsive decisions. Marcus Aurelius advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This teaching encourages us to focus on what's within our control, our thoughts, our attitudes, and how we respond to challenges. So how can we break free from the habit of letting emotions control our actions? The first step is awareness. Pay attention to how you react in emotionally charged situations. Do you find yourself snapping at others, shutting down, or making decisions you later regret? Recognizing these patterns is the key to changing them. Next, practice the Stoic technique of pausing before reacting. When you feel your emotions rising, take a moment to breathe and reflect. Ask yourself, what's really happening here? Is this reaction helping me or hurting me? By creating this small pause, you give yourself the chance to respond with clarity rather than reacting impulsively. Another powerful tool is journaling. At the end of each day, reflect on moments when emotions influenced your actions. What triggered those feelings? How did you respond? What could you have done differently? Writing down these experiences helps you gain insight into your emotional patterns and prepares you to handle similar situations more effectively in the future. Stoics also emphasize the importance of reframing. When faced with a situation that triggers strong emotions, try to see it from a different perspective. For example, if someone criticizes your work, instead of feeling defensive or hurt, view it as an opportunity to improve. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." This mindset empowers you to take control of your emotional responses. Additionally, focus on grounding practices that help you manage emotions proactively. Activities like meditation, mindfulness, or even a simple walk in nature can help you stay centered and resilient when emotions arise. These practices train your mind to remain calm and composed, even in the face of challenges. It's also important to set boundaries with people or situations that consistently trigger negative emotions. If certain environments or relationships leave you feeling drained, consider how you can minimize their impact on your life. Remember, protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's essential for staying motivated and focused. Finally, remind yourself that emotions are temporary. No matter how intense they feel in the moment, they always pass. By staying grounded and resisting the urge to act impulsively, you maintain control over your actions and keep moving toward your goals. Now think about your own life. Are there situations where you've let emotions take control? What could you have done differently? Imagine how much clearer and more purposeful your actions could be if they were guided by reason rather than fleeting feelings. Letting emotions control you doesn't have to be your default. By practicing awareness, reflection, and intentionality, you can create a calmer, more focused mind and take back control of your motivation and your path forward. Habit number 7, neglecting physical well-being. Have you ever felt completely drained, even when your day hasn't been particularly stressful? You're sitting there, trying to muster up the energy to tackle your goals, but your body feels heavy, sluggish, and uncooperative. It's like trying to drive a car on an empty tank. It just doesn't work. Neglecting your physical well-being is one of the most overlooked ways to sabotage your motivation. When your body is running on fumes, it's nearly impossible to maintain the mental focus and energy needed to stay driven. It's easy to fall into this trap, isn't it? You tell yourself you'll sleep more, eat better, or start exercising just as soon as you have time. But then the days turn into weeks and the cycle continues. What we often forget is that our physical and mental states are deeply connected. If you're not taking care of your body, your mind will struggle to perform at its best. Neglecting physical well-being doesn't just leave you feeling tired. It erodes your confidence, your focus, and your ability to stay consistent. The Stoics understood the importance of caring for the body as part of a balanced life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." While this teaching emphasizes control over the mind, it also implies that we must take responsibility for the factors within our power, including the care of our physical health. After all, the mind cannot function at its full capacity if the body is ignored. One common excuse for neglecting physical well-being is the belief that it takes too much time. But consider this. The time you invest in caring for your body is actually time saved in the long run. When you prioritize sleep, for example, you're not just resting, you're recharging your brain, improving your decision-making, and setting yourself up for a more productive day. Similarly, regular exercise doesn't just keep you fit. It boosts your mood, sharpens your focus, and helps you tackle challenges with more resilience. Let's address another culprit: poor nutrition. It's tempting to grab whatever's convenient when you're busy, but fueling your body with junk leaves you feeling sluggish and unfocused. A well-balanced diet isn't just about looking good. It's about giving your brain the nutrients it needs to function at its peak. The Stoics often emphasized moderation and balance, and this applies perfectly here. By eating mindfully and in moderation, you're practicing self-discipline and setting yourself up for long-term success. So how can you break free from this habit of neglecting your physical well-being? Start small. You don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle overnight. Focus on one area, whether it's improving your sleep, adding more movement to your day, or making healthier food choices. Small, consistent steps create momentum, and that momentum fuels motivation. For example, if you're struggling with sleep, establish a bedtime routine. Turn off screens an hour before bed, create a calming environment, and aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality rest. If exercise feels daunting, start with something simple, like a 10-minute walk each day. Over time, you can build on that foundation. As Epictetus advised, no great thing is created suddenly. Progress is made through patience and persistence. Reflection is another powerful tool. At the end of each day, ask yourself, did I take care of my body today? If not, what small change can I make tomorrow to prioritize my health? This practice not only holds you accountable, but also reminds you of the connection between physical well-being and your overall motivation. It's also important to shift your mindset. Instead of viewing self-care as a luxury or a chore, see it as an investment in your future self. You wouldn't expect a car to run smoothly without regular maintenance, so why expect anything different from your body? When you take care of your health, you're not just improving your physical condition, you're building a foundation for greater focus, energy, and resilience. Now take a moment to think about your daily habits. Are you giving your body the care and attention it deserves, or are you pushing it to the back burner, hoping it'll keep up on its own? Imagine how much more energized, focused, and motivated you'd feel if you started prioritizing your physical well-being. The small changes you make today could have a profound impact on your ability to achieve your goals tomorrow. The Stoics taught us to take responsibility for what's within our control. Your health is one of those things. By treating your body with care and respect, you're not only honoring that wisdom, you're empowering yourself to live with greater purpose and vitality. Your mind and body are partners in this journey, and when they're in harmony, there's nothing you can't achieve. Habit number 8. Lack of reflection on your day. Have you ever gone to bed feeling like the day just disappeared, yet you can't quite put your finger on what you accomplished? It's like the hours slipped through your fingers, leaving you wondering, did I even make progress? Without pausing to reflect, each day can feel like a blur, And over time, this lack of clarity can sap your motivation and leave you stuck in an endless loop of busyness without purpose. When we don't take the time to reflect on our day, we lose sight of what's working and what's not. Instead of learning from our successes and failures, we're stuck repeating the same patterns. Reflection isn't just about looking back, it's about gaining insight to move forward with more focus and intention. Without it, we're like a ship lost at sea, drifting aimlessly without a compass. The Stoics placed a great emphasis on daily reflection. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most renowned thinkers, wrote, "The mind should be summoned to give an account of itself every day." This practice isn't about judgment or self-criticism, it's about accountability and growth. By taking time to evaluate your actions, you gain the clarity needed to align your efforts with your values and goals. Marcus Aurelius also highlighted the importance of reflection in his meditations. He used his personal journal to question his choices, evaluate his thoughts, and ensure he was living in accordance with his principles. This habit allowed him to maintain focus, even amidst the chaos of being a Roman emperor. If Marcus Aurelius could find time for reflection, so can we. So how does the lack of reflection impact your motivation? When you don't pause to assess your progress, you're left feeling disconnected from your goals. It becomes harder to see the bigger picture and understand the purpose behind your actions. This disconnection leads to frustration, burnout, and a sense of going through the motions without making meaningful progress. To break free from this cycle, start by setting aside just 5 to 10 minutes each evening for reflection. Find a quiet space where you won't be interrupted and ask yourself a few simple questions. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? Did my actions align with my goals and values? These questions might seem small, but their impact is profound. They help you recognize your wins, learn from your mistakes, and refocus your energy for tomorrow. Journaling can also be an incredibly powerful tool. Writing down your reflections not only helps you process your thoughts, but also creates a record you can look back on. Over time, you'll notice patterns, both good and bad, that can guide your decision-making. As Epictetus advised, progress is not achieved by luck or accident, but by working on yourself daily. Reflection is that daily work. It's the act of holding yourself accountable and striving for improvement. Another useful practice is to combine reflection with gratitude. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be monumental: a kind word from a friend, a moment of peace during your morning coffee, or simply the fact that you showed up and tried your best. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's already good, boosting your motivation and helping you approach the next day with a positive mindset. It's also important to use reflection as a tool for self-compassion, not self-criticism. If you notice mistakes or areas where you fell short, don't beat yourself up. Instead, ask, what can I learn from this? How can I do better tomorrow? The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. As the Stoics teach, life is a journey of continuous improvement, and reflection is the map that guides you along the way. Think about this. How many days have gone by where you felt like you were just spinning your wheels, unsure of what you accomplished? Imagine how much more purposeful and motivated you'd feel if you ended each day with clarity and intention. Reflection isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity for living a meaningful, goal-oriented life. The next time you're tempted to let the day slip by without a second thought, pause and remind yourself of this. Your time is valuable, and so are your actions. By taking just a few minutes to reflect, you're not only honoring the day you've lived, you're setting yourself up for greater focus, growth, and motivation in the days to come. The practice of daily reflection, as the Stoics teach, is one of the simplest yet most powerful tools for living with purpose and intention. Don't let another day pass without using it. Habit number 9. Dwelling on what you can't control. Have you ever caught yourself replaying a conversation in your head, wishing you'd said something different? or worrying endlessly about something you know you have no power to change. It's exhausting, isn't it? Dwelling on what you can't control doesn't just drain your energy, it steals your motivation and leaves you feeling helpless. Yet, it's a habit many of us fall into, often without even realizing it. The problem with focusing on things beyond your control is that it creates a false sense of responsibility. You might feel as though, by worrying or overthinking, you're somehow influencing the outcome. But the reality is, no amount of mental effort can change the weather, undo someone else's behavior, or rewrite the past. What it does change, however, is your mindset, and not for the better. When you fixate on what you can't control, you're diverting energy away from the things you can change, leaving you stuck and unmotivated. The Stoics understood this trap all too well. Epictetus famously said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." This teaching forms the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. Focus on what is within your control, your thoughts, actions, and responses, and let go of the rest. Dwelling on external events only leads to frustration because they're inherently outside your influence. Instead, by redirecting your focus inward, you regain your sense of power and purpose. Marcus Aurelius also echoed this wisdom in his meditations, writing, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words serve as a reminder that our strength lies not in controlling the uncontrollable, but in mastering our own perspective. When we accept this, we free ourselves from the mental burden of trying to change what cannot be changed. So how do we break free from this habit of dwelling on the uncontrollable? The first step is to identify your triggers. Pay attention to the moments when your mind spirals into overthinking or worrying. Is it a difficult conversation, a mistake from the past, a fear of the future? Awareness is the first step toward change, as it allows you to catch yourself in the act. Once you've identified these triggers, ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, gently remind yourself to let it go. This isn't about suppressing your feelings, it's about choosing where to direct your energy. Write down what's bothering you and separate it into two lists, things you can control and things you can't. Seeing it laid out this way helps you focus on actionable steps rather than dwelling on what's out of reach. Another powerful strategy is to practice reframing. For example, if you're worried about someone else's opinion, shift your focus to what you can do to improve your confidence. If you're stuck on a past mistake, focus on the lessons it taught you and how you can grow from it. As Epictetus advised, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. This mindset allows you to move forward with clarity and intention. Meditation or mindfulness can also be incredibly helpful. These practices train your mind to stay in the present moment rather than wandering into the past or future. Even just a few minutes of mindful breathing can help you reset and refocus. When your mind starts to fixate on what you can't control, grounding yourself in the present can provide immediate relief. It's also important to cultivate gratitude. When you focus on what you do have, your health, your skills, your relationships, it becomes easier to let go of the things you can't control. Gratitude shifts your perspective and reminds you of the many areas where you do have influence. Lastly, remind yourself that letting go doesn't mean giving up. It's not about ignoring challenges or pretending they don't exist. It's about channeling your energy into the areas where you can make a difference. When you stop dwelling on the uncontrollable, you free up mental space for creativity, problem-solving, and meaningful action. Now think about your own life. Are there situations where you've been holding on to something you can't change? How much energy has it taken from you? Imagine how freeing it would feel to let go of that burden and focus on what truly matters. The next time you catch yourself spiraling into worry or regret, pause and ask yourself, what's within my control? That simple question can shift your perspective and reignite your motivation. By embracing the Stoic practice of focusing on what you can control, you take back your power. You're no longer a prisoner to external events or past mistakes. Instead, you become the master of your own mindset, equipped to move forward with purpose and clarity. Letting go isn't easy, but it's one of the most liberating steps you can take toward a more motivated and fulfilling life. Habit number 10. Living without clear purpose. Have you ever had one of those days where you're busy from morning to night, only to lie in bed wondering what it was all for? You're exhausted, but not fulfilled, and the question lingers in your mind. Am I really heading in the right direction? Living without clear purpose can feel like you're treading water, putting in effort, but never moving forward. Over time, this lack of direction drains your motivation, leaving you stuck in a cycle of doing for the sake of doing, rather than achieving something meaningful. When you live without a clear purpose, your actions lose their connection to something greater. You might find yourself chasing short-term goals, checking off tasks, or simply reacting to what life throws at you. But none of it feels truly satisfying. Without purpose, even success can feel hollow because you're not sure why you're doing what you're doing. Purpose isn't just a nice to have, it's the compass that guides your decisions and fuels your motivation. The Stoics recognized the importance of living with intention. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "People who labor all their lives but have no purpose to direct every thought and impulse toward are wasting their time, even when hard at work." This teaching reminds us that effort without purpose is like a ship without a destination. It drifts aimlessly, no matter how hard the crew works. Purpose gives your life structure and meaning, aligning your actions with your values and long-term goals. One of the reasons living without purpose is so damaging is that it leaves you vulnerable to distractions and external pressures. Without a clear sense of what you're working toward, it's easy to get caught up in other people's priorities, trends, or expectations. This can lead to frustration and burnout as you spend your time and energy on things that don't truly matter to you. Epictetus advised, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In other words, clarity must come first, before action, before success, before anything else. So how do you find and live with clear purpose? Start by reflecting on what truly matters to you. What are your values? What kind of person do you want to be? These questions might feel overwhelming at first, but purpose doesn't have to be a grand, all-encompassing mission. It can be as simple as dedicating yourself to growth, kindness, or excellence in your work. The key is to identify what gives your life meaning and let that guide your actions. Journaling can be a powerful tool for uncovering your purpose. Take a few minutes each day to write about what you value most and what goals align with those values. Ask yourself, are my current actions moving me closer to those goals, or am I just going through the motions? Writing things down helps clarify your thoughts and creates a roadmap for living with intention. Another practical step is to set long-term and short-term goals that reflect your purpose. Break them into actionable steps so they feel less overwhelming. For example, if your purpose is to help others, set a goal to volunteer regularly or mentor someone in your field. If personal growth is your focus, commit to learning a new skill or improving your health. Purpose isn't about achieving something monumental overnight. It's about taking consistent steps toward what matters most to you. Reflection is equally important. At the end of each day, pause and ask yourself, did I live in alignment with my purpose today? What did I do that brought me closer to my goals? This practice keeps you accountable and ensures that your actions remain connected to your deeper why. It's also crucial to accept that your purpose may evolve over time. What drives you today might not be the same in 5 years, and that's okay. The Stoics emphasized adaptability and growth, teaching us to embrace change as part of life's natural flow. Purpose isn't a rigid destination. It's a guiding light that shifts as you grow and learn. Think about this for a moment. How much of what you do every day is truly aligned with what you value most? Are your actions moving you closer to the person you want to be, or are they just filling time? Imagine the clarity and motivation you'd feel if every decision, every task, every moment was tied to a purpose that inspires you. The truth is, living with purpose doesn't just improve your motivation, it transforms your entire life. It gives you direction when things feel uncertain, strength when challenges arise, and fulfillment in the small, everyday moments. The Stoics understood this, and their teachings remind us that purpose isn't something we find. It's something we create through intentional action. So, take a step back, reflect, and ask yourself, what truly matters to me? Once you have that answer, everything else will start to fall into place. With clear purpose guiding you, there's no limit to what you can achieve. As we come to the end of this journey through 10 surprising habits, destroying your motivation, without you knowing, let's take a moment to reflect. These habits, whether it's procrastination, chasing external validation, or dwelling on things outside your control, can quietly undermine your drive and leave you feeling stuck. But here's the empowering truth. Recognizing these habits is the first step toward breaking free from them. Awareness gives you the power to take action, and action creates change. Stoicism offers us timeless tools to navigate these challenges. It reminds us to focus on what we can control, let go of what we cannot, and live with intention. By applying these principles, you can cultivate a mindset that not only keeps you motivated, but also aligns your actions with your purpose. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That strength lies within you, waiting to be unlocked. Now that we've explored these habits, it's time to take what you've learned and put it into practice. Start small. Choose one habit to work on and approach it with curiosity and commitment. Remember, growth isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Each step you take brings you closer to the person you want to be. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which of these habits resonated with you the most? Have you struggled with any of them? And how have you worked to overcome them? Share your experiences in the comments below. I truly believe we grow stronger when we learn from each other. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll never miss future insights on Stoicism and personal growth. Your support means so much and helps us continue creating content that inspires and empowers. Thank you for spending your time here today. Remember, motivation isn't something you find, it's something you create by aligning your actions with your values. You have the power to overcome these habits, build a focused and meaningful life, and live with purpose. So take that next step, no matter how small, and keep moving forward. You've got this.